Welcome back into another episode of Getting Technical, brought to you by Better and Green. I am Ethan. With me, as always, is Wyatt. Wyatt, loaded slate of college basketball here right before Christmas. How you doing today? How you feeling about these games?
I'm feeling all right. Had a uphill battle yesterday in bets. NBA again. I'm so on fire for some reason in the NBA, but college basketball struggled a little bit. Michigan blew disgusting game yesterday for Michigan basketball. Juwan Howard, get him out of here. You can't manage a game. But yeah, as you said, loaded slate, a lot of games today. I believe we're only talking about three of them, but there are a couple other solid games going on tonight. So I'm excited about these three games we're about to talk about. I think this is almost the end of these neutral site kind of little classics going on for the rest of the season. So probably we get into conference play, which is fun. I think we're going to have a lot more success in conference play. These are a couple of these kind of weird games at neutral sites that we won't see again until March Madness. So I'm excited to talk about them. A big slate, and yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of conference play, we won't be talking about the Big East tonight, but Big East conference play is rolling right now. Tonight we do have UConn, Seton Hall, Xavier St. John's, Villanova, Creighton. So a couple of really good Big East games. I know Big East they're doing a special thing, Big East on Fox, where I think their next 15 games are all on Fox or FS1. So a lot of great Big East matchups. However, not talking about that today. We do have three bigger matchups that we are looking at. We have 10th ranked Baylor at 21st ranked Duke. Again, not a true home game for Duke, a neutral site game, but on the schedule it is Duke is the home team. We then have another ranked matchup between 11th ranked UNC and 7th ranked Oklahoma. And then to finish off with the nightcap, we have unranked Alabama at 4th ranked Arizona in a very interesting matchup there. To get started, we'll talk about the early tip-off. 7 o'clock Eastern, 10th ranked Baylor against 21st ranked Duke. I'm seeing Duke's a 3-point, quote unquote, home favorite, over under 153.5. What's your take on this game?
Yeah, so the biggest news is Baylor was undefeated. Michigan State gave them their first loss. I know me and you were both thinking Michigan State was right side, and of course, Michigan State won by 20 something points. So bad loss from Baylor. So I'm interested to see how they respond to Duke, who also has not been playing great. Duke's now 21st in the country. They've lost two of their last four. They've won their last two, but before that, they lost to Arkansas and Georgia Tech. So not great losses there. But I am interested to see how Baylor responds. But the thing that keeps popping up in my head about the spread in this game, it's at MSG. Every time I turn on SportsCenter when they talk about this game, it's that Duke has, I don't know the exact stat, but they're 21-2 or something at MSG in the last however many years, because most of the games are the tournament games are at MSG that Duke is in that division for March Madness. So that's probably plays into factor with that. But I'm seeing a lot of people on Duke. I do think Duke's the better team, even though they are 11 ranks behind Baylor. I'm going to have to go with Duke, and I think it's pretty public there. I'm going to take them at the -3. I don't love it, but again, I think Duke's a better team. I think they're going to bounce back, get right with another huge game before conference play. So I'm going to take them. I do, however, really like the under here. I got it at 154 earlier today. I'm seeing 80% of the money on the under, but only 60% of the bet. So a little bit of sharp action there. The one thing I will say is Baylor is phenomenal. I think they're the second ranked team at 3-point percent, or they might be even first at 3-point percentage on the year. So I do think they're going to struggle a little bit with just MSG is a weird stadium. The lighting's weird. It's a big stadium. I don't know if these kids are going to get used to it. So if this game goes pretty dormant early, I might try to jump in on some live action on the total and try to hedge or try to hit the middle between my pregame under at 154. I'm trying to get a live over right around 140, have a 14-point window there, because I do think Baylor is going to get hot eventually. I just think they're going to start off slow. So that's kind of my look at the total in that game. And I'm going to get square and take Duke at the -3.
Yeah, disagreeing right off the bat here. I like Baylor and I like the over in this game. Really, I think it's a better spot for Baylor. I think they overlooked Michigan State, which was the reason why they got caught by, like you said, over 20 points. Never had a shot in that game. Only put up, I think, 16 points in the first half. So they were behind the 8 ball from the jump. Duke hasn't played a tough game here recently. They've kind of just been floating against Charlotte, Hofstra. Did have a bad loss to Georgia Tech back early December, but kind of just had an easy schedule. They should come into this one focused, but I think Baylor was looking ahead. I think they have probably been prepping for this game a little bit longer. And then I really see these teams pretty similar, both really good offenses. Defensively, not quite as good as their offense. They're still not bad, though. Where I really see the separation is, like you mentioned, Baylor is a top 3-point shooting team in the country. They rank second in the country right now in 3-point percentage. And while Duke is also a pretty good 3-point shooting team, I believe they're 50 to 60, somewhere in there. The difference here is Baylor has a good perimeter defense and Duke does not. They're middle of the pack, I think 161 or something out of like 350. So I think Baylor's going to be able to exploit the perimeter. They did not shoot very well against Michigan State on Saturday. I think that changes today. And it's tough for me to lay points against a team that can shoot the three so well because they can just crawl their way back in it and keep up just by hitting the perimeter shot. So I do lean Baylor +3 here. I do lean the over. Baylor is my favorite play in this game. Not sure if I'll get to the window with the total, but yeah, Baylor +3 and over for me in this one. Although, yeah, with the over, it is tough playing in a venue that both teams aren't used to. I talked about it on the last show. So it does give me a little bit of worry there.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna take. I already took the pregame under, but I will be looking to get this live line on the over because again, I think Baylor is. You just said it. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. They can get hot at any moment. I'm just really hoping that they start off cold and that I'm going to try to hammer it if I can get like a 14 to 15 point window on that total.
Yeah, I like it. Next game we have North Carolina at Oklahoma. Again, this game is a neutral site game. Oklahoma technically the home team, even though this game is played in North Carolina. So kind of a home court advantage for the Tar Heels in this one. I'm seeing Oklahoma +3, over under 155. We do have a lot of high totals in these three matchups today. If you think that's high, wait for the next one. But yeah, I'll throw it over to you first for this one as well. This is probably my least favorite game on the card. But what are you thinking? North Carolina, Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma is one of the few. I don't know how many are left. I think I saw 4, maybe undefeated teams left in all of college basketball. That could be wrong, but I know there's only a handful left. And Oklahoma, as we said, 10-0. They really haven't played anyone. They beat Iowa, who turns out is not as good as we think because Michigan beat them and Michigan sucks. They beat USC, who got overhyped because of Bronny James. They beat Providence, who turns out that they're not very good. And they beat Arkansas, who turns out they're also not very good. So they really haven't been tested. North Carolina has played one of the hardest schedules, I think, this season. They played Arkansas and Tennessee are their 2 big wins. And then they lost to Kentucky, Connecticut, Villanova in overtime. Villanova's turning out to not be that great. But yeah, I think North Carolina's definitely been battle tested, and I just don't think Oklahoma has. So I think the obvious play would probably be to take, even though North Carolina has 3 losses, is 4 ranks ahead. I think North Carolina is probably the obvious play. So I'm going to take a risk on Oklahoma. I'm going to take them at the +3. I think they can battle here. I think they can hang in there. The one thing I really like is Oklahoma's defense is phenomenal. I think they have the 9th ranked defense in the country. Again, they haven't been tested really by any good teams, but we have to remember Iowa and USC are 2 extremely powerful offenses, and they kept both those teams under 72 points, which is extremely impressive. So I do as well with the previous game, like the under in this one at 155.5, simply because Oklahoma's solid defense. Obviously, North Carolina has a 10th ranked offense in the country, but I think they can stop them. However, the one thing that really worries me is the last time North Carolina played a top-ranked defense, which was Tennessee, North Carolina hung 100 on them. So that's definitely worrisome. But again, I'm hoping the neutral site plays into factor here, and hopefully Oklahoma can slow down the pace of play and cover this game and also keep it low scoring.
Yeah, you made me nervous there for a bit. I thought you were heading towards North Carolina, but we will agree on this one. I am on Oklahoma as well. No real feel on the total, so I'm just going to leave that alone, focus on the side here. But yeah, I like Oklahoma plus the 3 points here. You said a lot of what I had to say. Offensively, extremely similar teams. North Carolina scoring 84.9 points a game, but Oklahoma's 84.4. So right there. The difference here is the defense. Like you mentioned, Oklahoma does have a top 10 defense. North Carolina, 300 or 271st ranked defense. So they're at the bottom of the pack here. I think that's going to be the difference today. We've talked about North Carolina with their matchup against Kentucky on Saturday in our last episode. I said I thought that was a game North Carolina really needed because they were in fear of getting swept in this three game ranked matchups that they have going on right now. I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to lose this game outright. I just think Oklahoma's defense is by far better. North Carolina had a close game against Kentucky, just failed to close it out at the end. Kentucky kind of pulled away late. And I really think that one hurt them. I think Oklahoma's just going to come into this one and kind of just pounce on the week, if you will. I think North Carolina's probably just tired. They're kind of ready to get to Christmas. They already do have a couple of good ranked wins under their belt, so it's not like they absolutely need this game to stay relevant. And I'm also seeing 87% of the money on North Carolina, so I think people are looking at this saying there's no way North Carolina, one of the best programs in college basketball history, can lose 3 straight. I think they might, so I will take Oklahoma, even though this game is played in North Carolina. I think Oklahoma's the play here. I think defensively they're going to be the difference in this one.
Yeah, I like it. And I know North Carolina's kind of obvious, but it's kind of also for the average bettor out there, seeing an undefeated 10-0 team, number 7, 4 ranks above North Carolina, being a plus. So I'm a plus money. So I'm a little nervous on that aspect, just for the casual bettors probably taking Oklahoma, but I still think North Carolina seems pretty obvious for anyone that knows anything about basketball. So I'll take a shot on OU.
Yeah, and then the last game we're talking about here, the nightcap, the most exciting game, I think, on the card tonight. We have unranked Alabama at 4th ranked Arizona. Again, this game is played. Actually, is this a home game for Arizona?
It's in Phoenix. I still think it's at the Sun Stadium, so I think it's neutral.
Okay.
Technically
neutral, but again, in the same state. Arizona, 7-point favorite coming off that big loss to Purdue. Alabama also off a couple of losses, one being Purdue as well. Over under in this game, 175.5. Is this NBA? Like, what? I don't know that I've ever seen a college basketball total this high in my life. I'll get into this one first. Obviously, we'll address the total first because it is so high. These are 2 of the top scoring offenses in the league. Arizona ranks 2nd, Bama 3rd, I believe. I could mix that up. They're 2 of the top 3, both extremely good from the perimeter as well. And defense, not extremely great for either side. However, Arizona's defense is way better than Alabama, 84th in the country, Alabama 305th. So they are bottom 50 defense in the country. And I think that's the difference here. Yet again, I think defense plays a role in all 3 games. I like Arizona to blow out Alabama in this game. So I will lay the -7. I also like the under for that aspect because I do think it'll be a bit of a blowout. I don't think you're going to get the late fouls. That's going to help push this one over. You really have to hit on all cylinders to get 176 points in a college basketball game. So don't see it happening tonight, especially with that neutral site game. Arizona, like I said, is off that loss to Purdue. That was a huge game, number 1 versus number 3. That did push them back to 4th place. Purdue obviously taking over the 1 seed now in the country. Bama, on the other hand, they are kind of off a tough slate with a couple of losses. They did lose to Ohio State. They lost to Clemson, and then they're off 2 ranked losses at Purdue, at Creighton. And I think they're going to lose again to Arizona. I think we still look at Alabama as the team that they've been the last 3 years or so. And I just don't think they are. They've lost a lot of pieces, Brandon Miller being the obvious one. And yeah, I just think Arizona off the loss, I think they're by far the superior team. I kind of think they're just going to blow Alabama out here. Alabama hung with Purdue simply because they were shooting lights out from 3. They took an early lead. I think they were up like 15 points in the first half in that game before letting Purdue back in and ultimately winning. Don't think they're going to carry that same success from the perimeter in this game. And if they don't, I think Arizona's just going to feast on them. Arizona also a top 3-point shooting team. I can't remember exactly where they are but I believe they're a better 3-point shooting team than Alabama, if not right there with them. So, yeah, I think Arizona's going to be able to pull away here. I think they're better in the paint, equal from the perimeter. I just don't think Alabama's going to have the same success from three like they did against Purdue. And I think Arizona's the way better team here. So I'm going to lay it with Arizona, take the under. Two of my favorite bets of the night.
Yeah, this game is just, I'm really having a hard time figuring out this game. I already placed 2 bets on it too. And unfortunately, they are completely opposite. Whenever it's my NBA theory as well. I know this isn't the NBA. Almost, it's a completely different sport than the NBA. These are unrecognizable, college basketball and the NBA. First of all, the NBA is shit. College basketball is great. But a 175.5, and I looked. I thought this was like the total, the highest in history. There was a couple games, I think 2021, where Iowa got up to like 180 in there. Back when Iowa was scoring like 90 to 100 points a game. But this is still, it's got to be top 20 highest totals ever in college basketball. So whenever I see that, I automatically take the over. It might not be the smartest bet, but it's the most fun. It's the most fun to watch. And I just don't think a whole lot of people are going to be riding on a college basketball over of 176 points. So I took the over. It's actually my biggest play of the day. All my previous plays are half units. I actually put a full unit on the over in this. And then why? I agree. I think Arizona is the complete superior team. I think Bama's trash. I mean, they have 4 decent losses. I mean, Ohio State's, I think, going to be a tournament team. Clemson, I'm not sure. Purdue, we all know, is a national championship contender. And then Creighton will be, if not the winner of the Big East between them and UConn. But so 4 decent losses, and they didn't really get blown out in any of those. I think a couple of those were by double digits, but I also think a couple of those were within 5 to 6 points. So I get it, but Bama's just not good. And I'm just really having a hard time figuring out the 7-point line, because even though Arizona lost to Purdue, which is their only loss, I still think they're one of the best teams in the country. I was expecting this line to be at least 10 points, and I'm seeing 7.5. I just don't, I can't find a reason to take Bama. So that's the reason I'm taking Bama. So I took them at the plus, I think I got them at 7.5. I don't remember, +7, +7.5, whatever it is. Hopefully it's the hook, but simply because it's disgusting. So maybe it'll hit, but rooting for the over here. I'm kind of hoping to see 200 points in this game. I definitely think Arizona can get to the hundreds, especially if Alabama's terrible defense. I think Alabama can hang in there. Hopefully put up 80, but at least it'll be fun to watch. Even if the bets don't lose or win in this game, it'll be hopefully a fun game to watch.
Yeah. It makes sense that we're on completely opposite sides here, because I do think it is correlated. If you like Arizona, you probably like the under. If you like Bama, you probably like the over, because if it's close, there's going to be fouls. Both teams can hit from the foul line. So, yeah, I think one of us is going to go 2-0, I think, in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to wrap it for Getting Technical this week. Like I said, we do have a lot of big games, not just the 3 we talked about. So enjoy tonight's college basketball action. It should be a good week of college basketball leading up to Christmas. And then after that, kind of gets into conference play. So really looking forward to this time of year in college hoops. We also have videos coming out for each and every bowl game. So be on the lookout for those. The bowl games are also ramping up as we get closer to New Year's. The games have more significance, being played with more better teams. I'm kind of rolling in those videos, 6-2 right now in the video plays. So give those a look. We do have a bowl game tomorrow night, Thursday, and a bowl game for Friday that we'll be breaking down. And then all the Saturday games as well. Also, we have our NFL video coming out tomorrow. We've both been rolling in the NFL this season. Can't believe it's already week 16. Not sure where the time has gone on that, but be sure to check that as well. Head over to bettergreen.com. We have articles coming out there. We're also going to have an award show coming out at the end of the month. And then I think we're going to be doing some sort of Christmas special where we give out a couple premium plays for free. So be sure to check those out. The big premium plays have been hitting at a great clip. Other than that, guys, enjoy tonight's action, and we'll see you in the next episode.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover old spot from the bottom to the top, hey. Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.